For anyone who has the means to donate to the wonderful work being done at the Women's Resource, I hope that my story shows you the impact of what you choose to give. In 2021, I had just hosted my first 7-day retreat for women. It was the highlight of my entrepreneurial career. The 2 years leading up to that moment were filled with passion and drive to help women hold the mirror up to themselves and make the choice to live life on their own terms. I had launched multiple successful coaching programs, events, and this retreat, which was the largest offering that I had ever created. Everything seemed to be on an upward trend for me, but after the retreat, I realized that although my guests had an amazing experience, I hadn't had a plan for what's next. The price I charged to participate was barely enough to cover the laundry list of expenses that I accrued, and I hadn't budgeted any recovery time for myself to reflect and regroup before getting back into the fold as CEO. So before I could even celebrate my win, I was focused on survival. As a service-based entrepreneur, I had no idea of the value of creating a system that would keep my business running even when I had an off day, off week, or off month. I didn't know how to budget properly to host another event like this again, and the more I saw what I didn't know, the more my confidence was broken. I started to question my ability to be a good life coach. I asked myself, how can you help women through their mess when you can't even work through your own? And over the course of 6 months, I slowly stopped promoting my business, afraid that people would see me as flawed and not good enough. I started to give up on my dream of helping 1 million women to love themselves fully and out loud in order to live liberated. Before I knew it, life had hit me hard, and it felt like nothing I did got my business going again. So I started working odd jobs to make ends meet. Sadly, the ends still never met. I ended up on food stamps, rental assistance, and I still needed to borrow money from friends to keep the lights on. I was at my wit's end. Somewhere in my whirlwind of trouble, I remembered my homegirl telling me about this place called the Women's Resource. She said they offered coaching to help you manage your finances, and at first I wrote her off thinking, I gotta have some finances for them to help me. Of course, it didn't take too much longer for me to get with the program because I received another late bill notice or two, and that's what brought the Women's Resource back to the front of my mind. So I finally reached out. I got set up with financial coaching first and went through every emotion possible. I was embarrassed that I needed help learning how to budget. There I was, just turning 30, and the life I envisioned for myself seemed farther away than ever. I grew up as a high achiever. I'm the first in my family to earn a bachelor's and a master's degree, yet somehow that still wasn't enough. I still ended up at rock bottom. And there was my coach, Nina, trying to help me see the other side of things. It took some adjusting though, because I was stuck in my shame. I was ashamed seeing in black and white how little money I was making cleaning houses, being a hostess, virtual assistant, and working as a cashier at a restaurant. I was doing everything I could, but somehow it still wasn't enough. I felt like I wasn't enough. And when it hit me that I had to start over again, I felt broken. My mental health was in shambles, my confidence was at an all-time low, and I had little to no fight left in my spirit. Unbeknownst to me though, all the pieces of me that had felt shattered were beginning to be molded back together. Why? Because I wasn't starting over from scratch this time. This time, I had all the lessons I learned up until that point, and the crucial support from people who believed in me. People who could see the blind spots I missed because I was in survival mode. Week after week, I scheduled a session with my financial coach and then my career coach. And from there, everything changed. First, I realized that I was bringing in a little bit more money than I thought. It still wasn't as much as I needed to cover all my bills, but I was definitely in a better place than I realized. Working with Gina helped me to see that I just had poor money and bill management skills. I wasn't tracking when my bills came out, so I always felt like I was behind. And learning how to budget helped me to see all the costs I needed to cover and envision the new costs I wanted included in my budget one day. Things like monthly massages or regular nail appointments. As you can see, we've added nails to the budget. I'm still working on those monthly massages. though, is that the financial coaching I was doing with Gina not only helped to ground me in reality by knowing what my finances really were, but also to dream and think about what my future could be. So did my career coaching with Jody. As my career coach, Jody affirmed that running a business was hard but not impossible. She also showed me how to highlight all my transferable skills that I mastered in my time out of corporate America as an entrepreneur. I realized that it wasn't a waste and that I could get back into full-time work and work towards my dreams. Once I was able to secure a full-time job, Gina helped me to create a plan to repay all the personal debts I accrued over the past year, and Jody helped me to rebuild my confidence in myself and in my dreams. Together, they played a huge role in building the woman you see before you today. Since my start at the Women's Resource, I've paid off thousands of dollars of debt, bought my first car, moved into an apartment where I feel safe, and got my first big girl promotion. I negotiated my new salary and a bonus too. And that's the power of women supporting women. As a single, child-free woman, it felt like there wasn't a place for me to receive help. Most financial assistance I found prioritized women with children, and understandably so. It just felt like there was no refuge for me. Because of the Women's Resource, I know that's not true. This is where I found my safe space. A space to break down and let out my frustrations, a space to share my deepest fears, and a space to begin to rebuild my life. This has been the greatest resource of all. As someone who has a background in creating safe and sacred spaces for women to retreat, I know the value of women holding space for women. There is an indescribable feeling we have when we feel seen without having to explain. That's the power of the Women's Resource. And you have the power today, here, at Power of the Purse. Something I've learned while participating in the many offerings provided by the Women's Resource is that when I invest in myself first, everything else will fall in line. I feel the same is true for investing in women in general. We are the backbone of society, but many of us have forgotten our power. We've been so used to getting around to ourselves last, and I think that choice can be a daunting one and a bad habit to keep. I've learned that the power of the purse is to save something for me. What I see here today is many confident, beautiful, accomplished women in this room who value saving something for yourselves. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here tonight, wanting to pour into other women. You know that when we invest in women, we create impact for all. All of us in this room hold the power to make an impact by donating to the Women's Resource. I'll leave you with this. Imagine your donation as a seed planted for a tree you may never see grow, but you know will breathe life into generations to come. When one woman succeeds, we all do, because we pay it forward, and that is the real Women's Resource. Thank you.
Women supporting women. You can see chills, and that is at the core of what Women's Resource does. Bonnie, thank you so much for sharing your incredible story with all.